the correct template. So we put that in the memory sink. Is that the correct way to use the memory sink? I forget this. Icicle, HTTP. I think that's the correct way to use that. Nope, not that. Examples, server. Unless the examples changed. Things change so quickly in this. Okay, oh, yes. I always forget this is an asynchronous operation. I need to yield it. Okay. Let's just check if everything is okay in chat. How's everyone doing? I didn't even ask you how you're doing. That's very rude of me. How are you doing? Yield stream. Yeah, yield stream. Seems weird to yield twice in a row. Maybe work out what that's doing. Well, that works. That's very interesting. So now, okay, so now this renders the template. I'm just going to leave the stuff commented here for now. But this renders the template. What it doesn't do, does it render the jQuery stuff? Yes. Renders jQuery. It doesn't render this one, and it doesn't render the two Bootstrap files. That's interesting. So they're still there. That's very interesting. Is there an error to this? Let's copy this URL. Error? No, it loads that. Is it doing the wrong MIME type again? No, there's an internal server error. Why is there an internal server error from here? Content type, text plain. The content type is text plain again. Okay, let's go back to our routes file. Here we're serving our static files again. Okay, so if the file exists, open the file. What's going wrong here? What's going wrong here? Else print file missing. Else print path missing. Okay. Restart the server, restart the server. And when we refresh this, no, it's just the MIME type that's wrong. It's just the MIME type. It says 400. Oh, I mean 500. It says 500. I have no idea why this isn't working. Remember this? That's not a 200. Remember this? That's not a 200. Not that I think that's the problem. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that's the problem. Just, that doesn't look right. So now it's loading one of these Bootstrap files. This is so bizarre. This is so bizarre. Sometimes it loads, sometimes it doesn't. Wow, okay. Oh, what? What's the default version of PHP I've installed here? Default version is 5.5.29. Version I was running was PHP 5.6. Let's try the default version. Maybe I have just misconfigured something here. There it loads. That's very interesting. Okay, so PHP, I want to debug this because the default version of PHP, does this have EIO installed? No. Oh, sorry. grep EIO? No. PHP 5.6 does have EIO installed. Okay, so I think, apart from Bootstrap being very mainstream, I think there's something different going on here. I was benchmarking this earlier and chatting to Aaron, who is the lead dev on Icicle, and telling him when I was benchmarking this with Apache Bench, what I found was that when I put a lot of load on this and I didn't have EIO installed, then the concurrent package would give me errors. because it was trying to create separate processes in order to read the files. So to do it out of the request response cycle, it was creating new processes. But at high load, there wasn't a limit to the amount it was creating. It was just like spinning off processes all over the place. And at some point, it got too many file handles open, and data corruption errors and stuff. And so that, I think, is being worked on at the moment. But the difference between my PHP 5.5 that I have installed locally and PHP 5.6 that I have installed locally is that one has EIO installed and the other doesn't. And EIO is an extension to do evented file system I/O stuff, or at least that's what it's used for in the Icicle code. And if it's there, that's what gets used to do asynchronous file I/O. If it's not, the extra processes are used. And maybe this affects this. Maybe this affects this. So if I use PHP 5.6 again to run this index file, this has EIO installed. And normal requests, well, they're kind of being very erratic. Sometimes min.css and sometimes min.js don't work. Sometimes they all work. It's pretty weird. It's not a caching thing because they're 200 status. They're not 304 status, right? See, and they're well, that's a net request. So maybe that's why that's slow. But if I go back to PHP 5.5, which doesn't have EIO installed, and I refresh, it seems perhaps that this is more consistent. So there's a thing there. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'll have to try and debug that and chat to Aaron about that. But it seems that maybe there's a little bit of inconsistency. Also, maybe I just need to update the packages that I've got here. Composer update. Because I know that concurrent, there was a stable release of it. So maybe, let's have a look. What version are we loading here? We're not, just Icicle HTTP. I don't even know if that's updated to use the stable version of concurrent, or if file system's updated to use the stable version of concurrent. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, problem bypassed. We're able to render templates. So what does this give us? What can we do with this? Well, I don't know if this is 100% non-blocking. Again, I'll have to chat to Aaron just to get his thoughts on it, because I think maybe the include is troublesome, and maybe that has to be done in a separate process. But now that we're here, let's look at layouts, or inheritance, I guess is what I'm looking for. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so inheritance is really what I am looking for. Okay, so there's this idea that we don't want to create Bootstrap HTML all over the place. What we want to do is have like a minimum of page-specific markup in each template, and then have something that is reusable as the layout. So maybe we make something called layout.php, very creative name, and we can take a lot of this gubbins out of the index page, because actually all we want in index is this, right? We just want hello world in index. The rest is part of the layout. We'll reuse a lot of it. We'll reuse Bootstrap, much to Greg's distaste. And the parts of our templates that we want to be dynamic, in this case, are, well, they're called sections. So I'll tell you what we do, what we really do. We use sections for this content. Something like this. Bum, 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 bum. And we'll use PHP print because I abhor short echo syntax, short tag syntax. D quotes, and we'll call this content. The section in the middle is called content. Okay, then how do we define these sections? Here, this is the only part that we're interested in putting in index. So here we'll say start content and stop content. Use double quotes for that. and indent that a little bit. Okay, this is starting to look better. What does this actually look like? We also need to specify the layout that this uses, that this inherits. So here we'll say layout, and we don't want to do any of this other nonsense. I'm not even going to explain what that other nonsense is, just don't even worry about it. Okay, let's restart the server, and let's refresh this page, and we should still see beautifully rendered bootstrap. Beautifully rendered bootstrap. We should still see this, unless we have a horrible mistake. We have a horrible mistake. Doesn't seem to be working. Let's see if any markup is there. So if it's rendered the layout at least. It has. It just hasn't rendered the content section. Okay, so that section is content, and this section is page. Maybe that's why it's not rendering. Hello world? 500 error. 500 error. Not good. Start content and stop. And then print the section content. How vexing. How vexing. What is this error? This brings me to another thing. How do we see what these errors are? We just have 500, but we have no way of tracking that yet. Is there some help in the HTTP server code that we can use to tell us what those errors are? Is there like an on-error handler? Burning baskets, yes. Is there an on-error handler for the HTTP server? Because that'd be kind of useful. Then we can get some more interesting diagnostic information. 500. Okay, so yield this error. Function error. This on error. Okay, so if we do function on error, nope. On error. Set error handler. Yes, that's exactly what we want. Okay, let's go back to our index page, our server index. And on the server, we will set error handler function, and this gets an exception. And the socket as well, but I don't care about the socket. What we want to do is we want to print out this error, this exception, and just die. So, Greg, I really tried Greg Chat, and yesterday before the stream I tried to talk to you about it. It stopped working for me. I tried a few messages in chat and they just didn't appear on Greg Chat, so I don't know if there's a service that needs to be started up or something, but it didn't seem to be syncing with the live chat. So I'm just using the default ones for now until Greg Chat's up. Let's restart the server. Okay, so now we should have our 500 error. It's so long. It's so long. Okay, wow, that is not good. Let's change this to exception get message. And hopefully it's not something dumb like error. I mean, maybe it is. Section name content is reserved. Ah, okay. So, page? Let's just call it page. That seems fine. Nothing? Hello world! Hello world! Awesome, we have template inheritance going on. So now, when we want to create new pages, we can do something like just copy this content, test, and now when we create these new routes, bam, bam, bam. When we create these new routes, we can render new views. Restart the server. So hello world still works. And when we go to /test, we still have the bootstrap styling because the whole outer markup of the page is rendered there. It actually just replaces the inner stuff. So now